Crypto in July. Are we about to see a massive alt season kickoff? We're seeing many of the altcoins that we've been stacking into absolutely ripping, but is this all just a bull trap? I think we've got some very key things at play that we need to pay attention to. Crypto signals, targets, and the bull flag on Bitcoin we're seeing right now trying to break out with the ceasefire and everything we've seen from Trump and Iran and Israel. What does that mean for what's going on right now? Everybody get involved in the live chat. Get active. Let me know. Say good morning and the city you are tuned in from. And I will say GM Atlanta. Say GM wherever you are tuned in from. Everybody, let's get into it. Let's talk about these charts. Let's talk about these levels. Let's talk about these massive integrations. Let's go. The market's heating up. Look at this. We got a lot of green in the chart. We're seeing Bitcoin back up above $105,000, while at the same time, we're seeing ETH see a little bit of a rally. We're seeing some of our favorite coins like SEI, SEI, and Aerodrome, and many other coins, even Dog, absolutely ripping over 30% overnight. What is going on in this market? Because when we look at the charts, what do we see? We see this breakdown that turned out to be an absolute bear trap to the downside into a broadening wedge, a descending broadening wedge that tend to break out bullish. And what do we see? We pushed up right into this resistance level directly overhead, and then this absolute rippage to the upside right into a beautiful bull flag here. And where is this being held at currently? Where did this stop? Why did this stop here? Well, always look left on the chart. And what do we see? This orange bar that comes across where this was rejecting, chop right in here, rejecting, support, rejection, support kind of on the bottom side, rejection, support on the top side, rejection. And look at what the price is doing right now. It's got to do the work to break out. But what do we see on the money flow down here? The Chaikin money flow, negative. And then when this flipped positive, boom, right here, this was a leading signal right here. The leading signal that the price was about to pop. Now, sometimes when you're watching these, whether you're watching a short or you're watching this on the live stream, or if you're watching this later, you can utilize these tools. Looking at the RSI, look at this, breaking back up, having a little bit of trouble at the 50 line, but coming down right in this zone, holding the money flow here, indicating that there was bullishness coming in, giving you indication that this RSI was about to pop as well as a price. And that's exactly what happened. So will this price action actually go to the target out of this, which is at 111,000, measuring from this this flagpole up to the top here, measuring this out like this. Look at where this goes. This goes right up in here into this $111,000 range. So will we get that, or are we going to see something that we see very regularly in this market, which is that double trap setup where you get the fake out to the upside, followed by a fake out to the downside, only to resolve back up, meaning up like this, back down, come back in, and then get the move? Or will this be enough? Only time will tell. We're going to be with you every step of the way. Pretty Rich said, what did we miss? You didn't miss a darn thing. We just got this underway. How's everybody doing? Welcome to the show. Welcome to the family. If this is your first time, I can guarantee it's not going to be your last time. Welcome to BitLab Academy. My name's Kellam. Shout out to our channel partners, BitcoinIRA.com, and of course, Arculus. You can head over to getarculus.com and use code BitLab20 for 20% off. The best crypto cold storage solution out there. But we got some major things to pay attention to today because it's starting to feel very exciting. We're seeing green across the board here with some major moves. If we look at here on the weekly, SEI up massively, Aerodrome up massively, Kaya up massively, and we're seeing sort of mixed across the board on the weekly. But if we come to the daily, look at this, still pretty big gains on SEI. We got some big gains on SPX 6900. We also got WIF up. We got Injective up. We have some major things. Not only those coins, if we come over here and go to the top movers in the last 24 hours, look at this same coins that we just saw on that map. But you can also come down here and go to the page 2, look at the basically 100 to 200 mark. Dog, top mover. Look at that, up 28%. It was up about 30-something% a little while ago. But we're also seeing a lot of stuff in this mid to lower cap zone here. Also major movements throughout the ecosystem. So what do we want to look at today? Well, first off, Shout out to everybody that's just tuned in. Drop a GM and the city you're tuned in from. So for me, it's GM Atlanta. I'm here from Atlanta. Moved down here, obviously, about a year and a half ago from New York. But I just want to see where everybody's tuned in from. Shout out to everybody here. We got Pre-Rich, Alexander G, Mikhail. We got Crypto Glassworks, DeFi Crypto Airdrop. Shout out to them. Great channel. Green Day Profits, Polyvine, Sufficient Enough. We got the whole crew here. Shout out to each and every one of you. Johnny December, I see you. My dad, bring me a higher low. Shout out to my daddy. I see him in the chat there. But we got some things to talk about because things are getting spicy. Before we really dive in, interestingly, we had Jerome Powell from the Fed chairman, speaking today, testifying before Congress on the monetary policy. But this also just dropped. And that is, check this out from O'Keefe Media. I'm only going to play you about a minute, but it drops some interesting hints here that potentially Jerome Powell wants to go down in history as not doing what Trump wants. Who gives a crap what Trump wants or what he doesn't want? When you are running something like the Fed, you should be looking most importantly at what the American people need. What's going on with the monetary policy, inflation. This should be the number one dominant thing you should be focused on. Doesn't matter if you like or dislike Trump. And so let's go ahead and listen to what this is, one of those expose videos. Let's see what he's got to say. He's one of the principal economists with the Fed.
Principal economist. Right now I'm preparing for something. I'm going to do a talk to the Fed board.
Meet Harel Hizmo. He's a principal economist working inside the Federal Reserve.
So you write speeches for Powell?
Yeah, like for certain paragraphs. I'm just really worried that I'm saying stuff like stuff that's classified.
Do you deal with classified stuff?
It's all classified, right?
Quote, it's all classified.
It's all classified. Trump is a crazy person. It's very clear. I mean, he's a dumb guy.
Does he hate Trump? Is the feeling neutral?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah. And Trump was president. He wanted to stimulate the economy.
Right.
But he wouldn't do it. And he started raising interest rates, doing the opposite that Trump wanted. So the feeling is this, that we don't want Trump to be in government.
Right.
Harel Hizmo, principal economist with the Federal Reserve, says Jerome Powell wants to go down in history as someone who, quote, held the line against Donald Trump, unquote.
He's doing it for the legacy. He wants to be remembered in history as somebody who held the line against like Trump and like somebody who helped the economy.
So he wants to preserve his legacy as someone, even though he's Republican on paper, Democrats still love him.
Yeah, because he's responsive. Under Powell, the Fed has changed to think about equity issues like racial issues, think about wealth inequality as part of the mandate, as part of the things we're following. Think about climate change.
Harel Hizmo says, quote, people think conservatives are dumb and that the, quote, Federal Reserve would discriminate against those conservatives depending on how out there they are.
People think they're dumb.
So the whole point here is that we have this battle going on of egos between Jerome Powell, the chairman of the Fed, and the current sitting president of the United States of America. Now, whether or not you agree with Trump or not, you have to admit most of the things that they're looking at that would indicate whether you would want to cut rates or leave rates where they're at or potentially even hike rates is come into term now where it's like, we should be cutting rates. We're seeing Europe has cut rates 10 times and we have yet to do any rate cuts. This is why we're seeing, I think there's 20 different Fed speakers this week, different conversations, and basically they're jockeying people back and forth, just trying to drive narrative. Meanwhile, they're just worried about what's the tariffs going to do. And they've already indicated that the tariffs are not having an impact on inflation like they thought they would. And in fact, if we do get the conflicts going on in the Middle East under wraps, which is starting to look like it's going that direction, then it just gives further indication that we have a strong economy, we have inflation that's under control, and we've got a dynamic labor force. We should start to cut rates. And if we need to raise them again in the future, we can, because we need to stop waiting until something breaks to then try and fix it, because we've seen massive moves. Look at the stock market. Look at this massive sell-off, which turned out, as I indicated, and as many other people on here that are looking at charts, this was an incredible buy opportunity while other people are out there complaining, I can't believe Trump is crashing the market. We're not going to be freaking crybabies. We're going to look at data and realize this is something that needed to happen. also kind of deflating a little bit what was going on, but created an incredible buying opportunity for those that are paying attention. And look at this recovery. In fact, I do think that we're going to start to see this continuation to the upside in the very near future. And I got some incredible charts highlighting this that we're going to be going over here in just a few minutes. In fact, we're also going to be looking at a number of different coins here on TradingView, looking at a bunch of charts from Bitcoin to Ethereum, what we're seeing on this, what we're seeing on Ondo, some banger, great news that just came out, Chainlink, Aerodrome. We got a couple other as well, Tau, Say, Morpho, Solana, just good news across the board. And meanwhile, we're all getting frustrated on a 15-minute candle that it's not changing our lives. You got to let the market do the work. You got to let the charts play out, because I think we are in for an absolutely incredibly bullish July. Now, will it be right as we start July? Will it be in the middle? Will it be at the end? We're going to have to see how this plays out. But I do think as we go into the middle end of the summer, going into the middle of July, into the start of August, I think we're going to start to see some very positive price action. So let's make sure that we are strapped in, because this market's going to move with or without you. I know I've been stacking. Let me know if you have been stacking, because this market is about to do some absolute rippage. Now, what else we got? We got some key things to look at. People still arguing that we potentially could be near a top. What are you looking at? Look at this. Reevaluate your top calls, because when we're looking at the business cycle, that's also overlaid when we're considering global liquidity, money going into assets, money going into the world economy that then finds its way into assets. We see this right here, the business cycle. When this rolls over at this point, yes, it starts ticking up back towards zero. The start of this parabola starts to get that foundation. And then once this flips in this very green zone, as you see right here, you see absolute explosive moves to the upside, similar to right here where you see this, yes, price action is bullish. It is a bullish trend, but it's not until this flips into the green here that you really start to get this exponential move to the upside. This just feels like we're on a time that we should have already done it, because of the 4-year cycle is exact. It's not exact, especially when the entire world just changed to embrace crypto. All these cycles before was Bitcoin doing its thing in the face of the world, putting its foot on the throat of the crypto ecosystem. Now, from where we're at right now, starting January 20th of this year, really starting January 11th of last year with the ETFs, but January 20th this year with the crypto-friendly administration, as well as a regulatory body that's building all the mechanisms needed and the clarity needed to clear the path forward. And at the same time, we're seeing global liquidity tick absolutely exponential. We saw China actually has already injected over $1.25 trillion into the economy, and into their economy, and they're going to need to print about twice that to prevent economic devastation. So this is not even considering the U.S. now coming in with the Genius Act that's also going to give the Treasury the ability to essentially stimulate the economy as well by printing digital dollars. And this is at a time where the business cycle is just now starting to bottom out and starting to round out, which is indicating that we're likely, much like I said yesterday, going to see a top probably sometime in the middle to the middle end of next year. So everything right here, this has all been an excellent buying opportunity. Of course, much lower was much bigger returns, but on a risk-adjusted basis, we have an asymmetric upside opportunity from here based on the data we're looking at. So right where we're at right now, people are considering a top. I'm considering, what the hell are you looking at? You need to get your top examined by a doctor, because the data is suggesting higher. And so let's look at what this data is. This is what I'm talking about. Remember, capital is global. When China prints, it moves into global markets. Latest data shows that China has injected a whopping $1.25 trillion into money markets over the past 6 months, and will need at least double this in order to get out of their debt problem. So we have $1.25 trillion that's already been injected into the People's Bank of China, let alone what we're going to start to see when the Fed starts quantitative easing as well. We are so set up for success. Our biggest hindrance is our ability to be patient so this money can find its way into the assets that we're holding. So right now, it's just a patience game and being calculated about buying the dips that other people are scared of. And I'm looking at all the data that says the time is now, let's stack. So let's get behind charts like this that are suggesting this doesn't mean up tomorrow. This means up very soon and with a lot of foundation behind those upward moves. So let's be patient and let these markets mature, because this is what we're seeing. The global M2, global liquidity, how much money is being pumped into the global marketplace. Global M2 is a correlation to price action. It's not a tool to use for price prediction. In this case, we're looking at price go up or the global liquidity go up, indicating very likely when you adjust these across by about 80 to 90 days that will more likely than not be the next move on Bitcoin. This does not mean at this range that it goes up, we take that percentage and see this is the target. No, we see that there's been a substantial move past this range, this previous range high, this breakout, retest, launch. So look, we got the slight breakout, we got the retest. I do think we're about to see a massive move to the upside throughout the crypto ecosystem. And I think alts are going to be included in that. The key thing here, though, not all alts are going to really change lives like we would have seen in the previous cycles. And I'll break that down here in just a second. But the correlation between these patterns, I mean, look at this. Even back in that 7-month price range with Bitcoin not moving, well, okay, why would that be? Well, let's look at the global liquidity. This also was not giving indication for upward price action. This was looking for consolidation. What we see? Consolidation. Then the breakout, look, boom, breakout. What we get? The breakout. So similar to this move here on global M2, with only further indication that more money's coming into this market, because that is the imperative with fiat systems, with these dollars, with the yuan, with the Japanese yen, with the Turkish lira. They're always going to print. There's always going to be new money pumped into the global marketplace. So if that's the case, we're also going to see that there's a money glitch out there that Bitcoin captures because it is a fixed supply, with the world waking up to also stacking into this. So let's pay attention to this as opportunity, not as a fear point. Now, once you realize that, you will change your life forever. And this is what I'm talking about. This time is different. Is it? Well, we saw the 2017, 2018, all the way here to 2025, the different narrative focuses that saw huge amounts of explosion in asset prices in these niches, the ICOs, blockchain, everything, everything that was just really getting integrated into the blockchain, the Libra and Facebook debacle that they were too early because the administration at that time was not the governments were not ready yet embracing the crypto ecosystem. Then we had the DeFi summer. Then we had the metaverse explosion and NFTs. And we had DAOs, which was a large integration and building point. But then ordinals was the thing, right? Ordinals and everything that happened in that regard and how that changed shape of what people were thinking about Bitcoin and what was possible. Then meme coins last year, how many different meme cycles happened, and the amount of liquidity that was traded within the memes. This essentially concluded into about January 18th, January 19th, when we had the Trump coin launch, which kind of marked the end of that massive meme focus in the crypto ecosystem. And this was also, of course, supported by the Solana token deployers, Pump Fund, and some of the other ones that have, since come out as well. And then, of course, this year, it's Bitcoin treasury companies. So there's been a lot of liquidity that's come into this market. It doesn't feel like it because your favorite altcoin hasn't pumped like you wanted it to. But when you look at how many different places across the crypto ecosystem, big money is being basically fractured across and spread across and diversified across, it just doesn't feel the same like you were expecting, because the market is maturing. So we need to be a little bit patient, but also very focused in the way we're doing our diligence and how we are allocating towards certain projects. So this time is not different. It's just maturing, and you can't expect it to have the same type of runs and the same broad way that we have seen in previous cycles. But then we see further developments on regulation that just supports positive movement in the space. The Senator's Digital Asset Subcommittee will hold a hearing, this is today, to discuss a bipartisan effort to establish a crypto market structure. Coinbase and Multicoin Capital's representatives are among those who will provide testimony for the hearing. These are the types of things that are going to really start taking shape into paving the way for even more money to get involved. Even right now, with all these different crypto, Bitcoin treasury companies and different integrations we're seeing across the crypto ecosystem, all of these corporations that are building in and providing these types of investment structures are at the leading edge of the corporate decisions about getting involved in Bitcoin and the crypto ecosystem. There is a monumental more amount of companies, corporations, ultra high net worth individuals, sovereign states that are going to be coming on the tails of some of this finalization of market structure regulation and some of the other things that we're seeing. Even today, Jerome Powell, in his testimony before Congress, actually just even mentioned that banks do have the go-ahead. They got the green light to offer Bitcoin and crypto services, and basically service those clientele. The path is getting cleared in ways that we do not even understand, and the money is getting prepared to flood in like you cannot even believe. So let's stay tuned to all this, because then we also see things like this. Michael Saylor offers to share his company's Bitcoin credit model with Trump's director of housing to push Bitcoin qualified mortgage lending. This is William Pulte. We will study the usage of crypto holdings as it relates to qualifying for mortgages. In years past, all the way up until now, you could have $10 million in crypto and have, $1,000 in your bank account and it looked like you were broke because companies, regulations, mortgage companies, basically valuing what you were worth as a person as it relates to getting lending was not possible. Now it is becoming more than possible. In fact, they're working towards integrating this into basically the entire financial structure and how we get that picture of what somebody's wealth is. And this is great. This is going to be so positive. And Michael Saylor, if you all remember, I had Grant Cardone on about a month and a half ago, and he was talking about his real estate endeavor with the Bitcoin and real estate fund, and his structure around that was also helped shaped by Michael Saylor. Grant Cardone got with Michael Saylor and they helped build that structure that best served his needs with his real estate portfolio. Not the same structure as what Saylor was doing. Saylor gets this. Different companies, different people, different individuals, different countries will all have different needs and different requirements or different goals that they're looking to integrate and why they're looking to integrate and how they want to utilize the integrations for Bitcoin and crypto in their business models. So this is fantastic. Shout out Crypto Princess. I see you there. Granny's Garden, Ugin Sky, Peter John Lurum. What's up, fam? How's everybody doing? Then we got this $14 trillion Moscow exchange exploring launch of mutual funds and structured bonds tied to Bitcoin. The world is integrating to Bitcoin, to blockchain, to digital assets, and people are worried when you get a 5, 10, or even a 30% pullback right now. This is all bullshit. Manipulation of your emotions so you will hand over your crypto to other individuals while the world is getting fully set up to build their entire business models to be integrated on blockchain, to utilize the technology with digital assets, to harness what the future is going to provide for those that are stacking into things like Bitcoin. The world is changing before our eyes. Take every opportunity you can. If you see a dip, or if you're just willing to hodl, even with price going flat or up, now is the time to be stacking like there's no tomorrow. I'm out there on the corner daily, shaking my legs, saying, I need to make that ends meet, baby. We want to stack as much as possible because the biggest players in the world are waking up. This is not a joke. This is not a fire drill. This is time to take it seriously and make sure that your bags are packed. And then we see the data. Now we're getting into the data. We're going to jump into some technical analysis and break down some charts. Now, is the market cycle about to roll over? Well, when we look at the the S&P 500, what do we see? Massive V-shaped recovery. This is a pretty darn big move for the stock market. A 21% dip. In years past, this would have been considered a recession, but what happened? Bam, bam, thank you, ma'am, right back up to the top. And now we're on the cusp of breaking, up back to price discovery above previous all-time high into new all-time highs on the S&P 500, on the SPX. Now, when we look at this data, what do we see? We see feeling that summertime sadness. Cheer up. The macro picture has already turned, and looking ahead, the outlook is increasingly positive for risk taking. Right now, the name of the game and the ultimate alpha in this space is patience. So you're seeing this, the GMI, Global Weighted Economics versus Inflation Surprise Index, and then the NASDAQ year-over-year return percentage. So we had the dip here, but you see the next move, much like we see the correlation between the global M2 and Bitcoin, global pop. So now Bitcoin is likely to pop. Similarly, you see this is already kind of foreshadowed what the next move will be here for the NASDAQ 100 year-over-year returns, meaning up is likely, coming next. And then we see this data right here. This is all related to crypto as well, because when you start seeing strong risk-on possibilities, strong risk-on indications, that means that there's likely going to be a huge amount of that floods into the crypto ecosystem, especially Bitcoin. So this is the S&P 500, October 97 to January 2001, then black. You see this whole pattern here. We've been here before. We've seen it before. We know what to do. We buy the dip and we ride the rip. And that's what we're looking to do right now. So we're seeing this perfect correlation here. And does this mean up only? No, it means up with a little bit of bumps along the way, a little shakeout here, final shakeout right when we're at previous all-time high. You see this? And then boom, break back up. And then where does it pull back to? To kind of retest these levels. The bulls defend it. And then it continues up, comes back, retests these levels. Bulls defend it, goes higher, and then so on and so forth. So the outline here is indicating, especially with all the trade war tariff stuff supposedly on schedule coming to an end, a lot of these deadlines are coming into the first and second week of July. If we do have softened hostilities or an end to the hostilities for the time being with the conflicts in the Middle East, this will only lead to higher risk on environments coming in here. Let alone if we get a rate cut in July, which we've kind of seen indicated by a couple of the Fed board members, but we'll have to see how that plays out. Now, what do we got here? Standard Chartered says tokenizing U.S. treasuries and private credit could unlock trillions in value. So now we're seeing some of the biggest banks in the space that are not yet really doing this, like BlackRock and Fidelity, so on and so forth, also talking about how, the world is moving on chain. The world is moving on chain. Trillions, not millions or tens of billions or hundreds of billions, trillions of dollars over the next 3 years are set to really aggressively move on chain. And the underlying rails for that to happen, which are going to be blockchain technologies like Chainlink, blockchain technologies like Ondo, blockchain technologies like XRP, things like Avalanche and Solana. These are set to bear a huge amount of positivity from this, a huge amount of bullishness, Ethereum being one of the key players in this as well. So the fact that we're worried at all screams volumes about our impatience. Why now, when the world is signaling that it's all moving on chain? So pick your winners and get stacked, because it's not just Standard & Chartered. We also see the data of what we're seeing with altcoins. Could this be the case? Are altcoins about to rip in July? Well, based on this chart, we can see that in the July, like 2016, 2021, and where we're at now, these have all started basically right into the middle of July, massive moves to the upside. It's interesting that I was already looking at July as a very likely area for the Bitcoin, for the altcoin ecosystem to really start seeing some huge positive momentum. But then you look, and I hadn't even seen this until I saw this chart, it all happens to line up perfectly with what we've seen in the previous cycles of July being the start of that absolute pumpage to the upside. So will this happen? I don't know. Will it happen by the end of July? I don't know. It might even happen in August or September. We don't know. We can only get prepared, take our shots, and then strap in for the coins and the assets that you believe in. Michael Carter says, HBAR, what are y'all's top 3 coins that you're looking at to see some massive moves this year by the end of the year? I want to see it in the live chat there. I want to see you guys comment down below. Let me know what you are looking at, because if this is the case, much like we're seeing, remember, it's not just this chart. It's the fact that the ceasefire is starting to come into effect, if that is to hold. It's the fact that we have the trade war and the trade deals that are supposedly supposed to, coming into the first and second week of July, start to have those deadlines to get those things delivered, and also start having the fixed tariff, the fixed understanding of what the tariffs are going to be. Once certainty comes back in the market, because things aren't changing every 3 freaking days, it doesn't matter even if there's 80% tariffs on everything. Once the market sees this is what we can expect, then you get a little shakeout and then the market resumes course. So it doesn't matter what the decisions are. It just matters that there's a decision. Again, I'm not saying that I like one way or the other. I'm saying the way markets work is when there's unclear path forward of what the different economic impacts on the risk on, risk off narrative are going to be in a market, the market is going to be uncertain. You have a de-risking environment. Once you have clarity about what is expected, risk comes in and the markets fly. So let's hope for that risk. Let's hope for these to come in like this. If this plays out again, this would be freaking magnanimously cool. Because then we also got Chainlink. And I really believe this. Chainlink becoming the most important financial technology tool of the modern age. Yes, Bitcoin is the penultimate, bam, digital asset technology for store value and also transact, and especially with some of the layer 2s and Lightning Network and what you can do with runes. And yes, that's all fantastic. But the nature of Chainlink is that it's going to be one of those mechanisms. It's going to be an intermediary. It's going to be in the RWA, tokenization niche. It's going to be the oracle of data providers on Web 2 to Web 3. It's going to bridge legacy finance into the blockchain age. It's going to bring trustlessness to all these non-trustworthy that are out there in the financial ecosystem. We can bring data. We can bring the CCIP, cross-chain interoperability protocol, being the standard. Chainlink is about to absolutely rip. And you look at this, Chainlink and Mastercard enable direct on-chain crypto purchases, along with many of the other things that Chainlink is doing. This is just another massive win in terms of partnerships for Chainlink. This is absolutely monumental in what we're seeing. And then we also got not just Chainlink, but we got Ondo, which we've discussed. Ondo and Coinbase tap into the next Web3 trend of on-chain stock trading. If this is a partnership that's going to really expand, this would be monumental, because this could also mean that we likely start to see in the near future trading your favorite stocks on-chain through Coinbase. This would be monumental for those that are holding the coin stock for Coinbase, as well as the amount of transaction volume and use case for Ondo if these partnerships and the exploration here really does move forward, because this is monumental. This is from Katie Wheeler, who is head of partnerships with Ondo. So shout out to Katie Wheeler. So, I mean, we're seeing such fundamental, amazing bullishness coming throughout the entire ecosystem. And then not just that, we got Solana. Fiserv does $90+ billion in financial services, plans to launch a stablecoin platform for banks on Solana, a lot of their ATMs and the transactions between. This is a monumental partnership. Now, who cares about the volume? Who cares about this amount? The point here, much like we saw with Chainlink, is the integrations of digital assets that have incredible communities and technology like Solana, like Chainlink, like Ondo, that are getting integrated into the legacy financial sector, as well as the in real life, real world use case like ATMs, like MasterCard for purchases and transactions, and what we're going to see with integrations for cross-border payments like remittances. The whole world of commerce and finance is getting completely upgraded, and it's all going on chain. So if you hold the chains that are managing some of this volume that's going to be coming on and tying, really accelerating the world into this next stage of technological evolution, your portfolio is going to evolve too, let me tell you. But we got some other things we want to look at, because we got to jump into some TA on what's going on here. Shout out to everybody that is in the house right now. We got some big dog news as well. Dogs should be getting listed. They've been teasing like a mofo. The Kraken folks, they've been teasing that it very well could be happening this Friday. And I'll pull up the chart on that here in just a few minutes. But look at this. We're kind of in a sort of tight trap zone right now with liquidity. We're seeing a little bit of liquidity above us, a little bit of liquidity below us. The market's kind of waiting for that next nudge. And is the ceasefire real? I think going into the end of this month, we could see a large pop. We could see it pump up to 111. But if I had to guess, it's probably more likely to be a little cautious, if the ceasefire is real, a little cautious about some of the trade deals that may or may not come in. So I'd be a little just cautious going into the first week of July here as this pertains. But we're going to be here on a daily basis, and we see the liquidity both above and below us, so not a lot of signal there. If we come over here and look at the charts, we're on BitTensor there. Let's get over to Bitcoin. We have a beautiful signal. Where is it at? Is it on? There it is. So we have the broadening wedge descending. It did break out. Look, rejection, boom, launch. We have a bull flag here. What did we talk about earlier? A potential bull trap to the upside, a washout back down. Let's see if it gets a little bit more move and then a resolution to the upside, or potentially this turning into a Bart Simpson pattern, meaning you have the big move up, basically inefficient move, and then the chop here, which is coming right into where all of this bar here of all of this struggle bus has been for the market price. If this were to move back down, it wouldn't be the end of the world. This would be a great place for it to be. Let's go ahead and look at where the fibs are that line up with that. Let's go like that. Look at that. It's right about where the 382 is, which is also where all of this chop shelf is. That gives you an indication that if price falls, that's still a very respectable level to hold, and it would still be a higher low to a higher low if that happens. Even if this loses this and comes down into this, that's on the, let's go to the 1 hour. There we go. So we got, so we got the moving average coming up in here, but we have the golden pocket, which is right about the neckline of this, a little bit below it, but right back here in the 102.3, $103,000 range. But what's most interesting here is that the price action is other than this spring, this looks like a Wyckoff. I mean, chop up, okay, down, back up. Okay, now we go lower, come back up. If this is able to hold in this range and this does start to push up, then we're expecting this to break out of basically this 110 to 112 range, and then start to see that move, back up here into this 117 or 120 range. But we have to see how this plays out in the near term, because when we're looking at the market, nothing's changed on alts. We have this very large descending broadening wedge here that is now, look, it came, I mean, if you were to extend this out, look at where that came right down into the trend line there. And the money flow is a little bit just not sure yet, but this has come back up right into this zone right here. This is basically everything outside of Bitcoin and Ethereum, and it also has all of the stable coins, USDT and USDC, subtracted from this. But this has come right back into this zone. If this is able to take this out, meaning break through this, what I would expect is a breakout in here and be trapped in here for a bit before a move. If this does get rejected, it's not the end of the world. We'd be watching for a move, potentially back down here, into this zone, the 581 billion sort of range. But what does this look like with the stable coins? Let's look. Total 3. Crypto. Oops. It's not what I wanted. There we go. There we go. Very similar Yeah, it's still right back into the zone. So no new information there. Everything's just kind of waiting for things to just not have the narrative shaken back and forth every 7 hours, which is what this has felt like, right? Holy moly, has this been a frustrating cycle. But if you're patient, I do believe this is going to pay off in major ways. But Circle still making massive moves to the upside. I mean, look at this. Talk about a liquidity suck for some of the money in the crypto ecosystem. It's up 367%. Just since, where's that date at? Let's see. Since June 5th, up, almost just under 400%, having a little bit of a cool off period here. But a lot of that big money, think about how much money this, I don't want to say stole, but it's not going into the crypto ecosystem. You're getting a massive amount of money that's just like we're seeing with proxies that because of that is not flowing into the crypto ecosystem. Now with the dollar, when we look at the DXY, this is still looking relatively weak, which we want if we want risk assets to pump. When risk assets pump, basically when this is breaking to the downside and we see this downtrend, rejection, support, this came back up and tested basically as a rejection. Now, currently, this is starting to flatten out. So it wouldn't surprise me, even in the next week or two, if this did get a little bit of a move to the upside, kind of a final stand before we get a move to the downside. And I say that because the RSI is a bit flat here. It's quite low. And you notice this is not staying. When the RSI comes down here, it's not staying down here for very long. In this case, this is right on the center line, that 50. And that's actually the lower line. Sorry, it came right down to, the 30. A bounce there, double bottom, and then up. But what we're seeing right now is kind of looking a little similar. This is rounding out on the strength here. If we do get a little bit of a pump in the dollar, it would probably mean that the crypto ecosystem would be a little flat for a little while, or potentially even down for a little bit. But we're seeing the market hold very strongly, even with the others chart. We had the massive pump up in all your alts, the sell off. Massive pump up in all your alts, sell off. Now, very baby pump here, but we got this nice descending channel. And this is the index for all of those, basically everything outside of the top 10. Crypto total market cap, excluding the top 10 largest altcoin market caps. But we saw that they tried to get you to sell, and the wick brought it right back up inside this this formation. And we actually had this drawn like this as well. This just went a little bit deeper than we expected. If this is able to push up into the zone right in here and break out, then I think you're going to start seeing a lot of really nice gains in those assets that you're holding. But Ondo, look at that. We had the washout to the downside, came right back in. It's looking like it's, kind of setting up for that move. 4-hour chart, money flow. What do we see? Money out. Price also went down. Money back in. What do you see? Price rally back up. And we're right now on the cusp. It hasn't happened yet, but we're right now on the cusp of this potentially breaking back into positive, which would support this moving higher. RSI is looking a little weak here, though. So if we do get a little bit of a pullback, it's not the end of the world, but we are setting up, hopefully, for something like this, but something that can sustain more, right? Because this is a very large move. So a lot of times you'll see something like this, and then a sort of a large move also back on the other side of this in the positive sense. So if we do get a little bit of a pullback on Ondo, we're looking for a move. I'd say, back down into the 71, 72 cent range. I think it would be a good opportunity. If this comes all the way down into here, this gets a little scary, but it's still, I think Ondo is setting up with a lot of the integrations that they're doing to make some pretty large moves. So this would be a great opportunity if it comes all the way to the golden pocket, which is back in the 67 to 69 cent range down in here. If this is able to hold here and the market just starts to rip, that would obviously be the best. But at some point, you're going to want to watch for a correction and where the bulls come in to defend. Chainlink, as we talked about yesterday, Chainlink came down and bounced on this multi-year trend line that goes back to 2020. And look at this. We talked about this up here. If we're going to lose 13. And what did it do? It did lose 13, came all the way down to 1120, 1105, and then bounced back up currently through this very key blue line here with all this support, rejection, support, support, kind of support, chop. This is, I feel like Chainlink is one of the most coiled springs for massive upside in the crypto ecosystem for how many integrations that they're deploying right now. If the market does have another swing to the downside, which things feel like they're lining up more bullishly right now, then I am looking for a dream of an opportunity under $10. I don't think we're going to get that though. I think if anything, this will chop in here for a bit, but we're going to want to watch this orange bar right in here that comes all the way back to 2020 as well. Coming in this range is going to be important, but breaking out, attacking the $21 to $22 range, having probably a little bit of trouble here, and then really getting this market underway to start attacking, up to 37 and then up to 54 and beyond. Aerodrome also making some pretty nice swings. Okay, currently it's trying to get up here to test the macro 382 from the high that we had back here in December. As we stand right now, nice falling channel. Okay, broke out just as you would expect from a falling channel, broke out bullishly. And it broke out into, let's go down to the 4 hour. We talked about this yesterday. It broke out into this sort of rising wedge. But then rising wedges tend to break bearish, right? It did, and it came up to confirm, really tricked the hell out of people. Came up here, broke out, came back to the trend line, this trend line, to confirm, and then broke back down into a falling, broadening wedge. But look, you want the signal? Well, we got the money flow. Boom. Back up right at the zero line. If money starts to pour back into this, and look at this, RSI has rebounded. If this can maintain this structure and RSI starts to push up and money flow comes in, then this is going to tack up back up here to the dollar range. And I think this is going to break through fairly easily if that were to take place, and attack up here back to the golden pocket about $1.60. TA on X bar, Michael Carter, shout out. I'll do some H bar. We have not done that one in a while. H bar. Let's look at H bar. It's actually, let me go down here. I think I have a chart on this already. H bar. All right. Yeah, here we go. Okay. All right. What we got? We had this descending trend line that was just kind of oscillating around that also then created this trend line. That's why I have these drawn like this. And I'm glad I did, because look at where this has now been supported. So rejection, support, the fake out to the downside. The bulls bring it right back in. This is looking like it's rounding, like it's trying to set up for a breakout. That's on a 3-day chart though. Let's look at the 8 hour. So yes, we got the fake out to the downside, bear trap back in, and now the money flow is trying to flip positive. See how this is negative money flow, money coming out of the ecosystem. It's a drought. Plants can't grow in a drought. We got a little sprinkle here. We got a little sprinkle, but it's not really enough. Just a little blip up, back down. Boom, we got the move up. Money's starting to be positive. The RSI doesn't have a lot of conviction yet. Why do I say that? Because we're hovering right around this mid 50 zone, and we have this downtrend resistance line that's right here. If this is able to break out of this, find support and go, then this too will come up here and test this range right here, 16 cents. Likely move up, retest, and then continuation up here into the basically 18 to 19 cents. And then continue on from there. But we're going to be seeing this across the board. We haven't even looked at Litecoin in a while either. Litecoin, like we saw on Chainlink, pretty large move back here to 2022 with the deviation down, deviation up, and then now kind of on the struggle bus here, trying to make a decision. But the money flow is positive. This is on the 3-day chart too. What does it look like on the 8 hour? Okay, we got a falling channel. Right in here, boom. Or is it broadening wedge? Let's see. I think it's a broadening wedge, yeah. So look at where this is at. It's at the equilibrium. This broke down. It came right back into this low. All this chop right over here. All this chop. So if this gets rejected, it's not the end of the world. I want to see it bounce above $81. But we're really watching for this, what it does in this interaction area, the 86 to $90 range. But it's really going to be this box that's going to be important right here. Why? Because we have this trend line that's shooting all the way through this. that essentially, if I were to drag this out, it would interact right here where we have this descending resistance line coming right in here. This will be the zone we want to clear. If this is cleared, then the next level up we're watching is 106, and then the target above that is about 125. Don't count Litecoin out because it's not shiny and new on your radar. This is still listed on some of the biggest financial institutions on their daily tickers. And you know, it's got incredible persistent technology that they're not having downtime issues, and they got some good stuff going there. GRT also has just been bleeding to the downside. Looks like we might have a double bottom here. A little bit higher low. But same thing we were talking about with H-bar. The RSI is fighting up against this trend line. If this can, I expect this will likely reject, come down, and then break out, much like we see on this trend line right in here. We have a falling channel just like that. So we want to clear this zone right here. What is it? This low, this rejection, this bounce, this bounce, this bounce. So this is kind of a key zone, this area right here to break. If this can be taken out, then I think we're coming up to about 10 cents as the next level, which is, you know, as you can see, these low, this rejection, these lows, this rejection. But we got to break out of this area first, likely breakout, retest, and then move. But it's all going to depend on what the assurity in the market is, how positive the market is. And then, of course, we got Dog, which is very likely going to be listed on Kraken here on Friday. That's right, Dog, which we've been tracking here for quite some time. My favorite meme coin, because I think of it as a Bitcoin culture coin. And there's some major players like Mark Yusko, Dan Gambardello, and other major players out there that look at this. Matthew Hyland. The tokenomics on this isn't like a meme coin. This was all fairly distributed to runes holders, rune coin holders, runestone holders, I should say. There's over 100,000 different addresses out there of people holding this. There's no big allotments for like the team to just drop and just completely jack you around like every other meme coin out there. It's got a pretty fair distribution across holders, and yet it is just absolutely ripping here. Look at this pump from, look, on this line that we drew the other day, came down, tested it perfectly, and now we're up, 42% from this low back in the zone. So we're watching for one, Kraken listing on Friday, but also the Rune June discourse Kraken has been posting about. And we're watching for this to break out of, basically the exactly where it's at right now, but really the 425, and then we're watching for the 621 area, this target up here to 10 cents, and then over, onward, and abound to the upside that we're going to be looking. Will we get will we get up here into these higher targets? I do think we will, just because of the structure of how this is. And of course, checks, which we got into the other day, right before the market had a pretty big pullback. They also just got listed on some tier 1 exchanges. This has had a pretty good washout. Great opportunity for those that saw this. I expect this to rebound and come back up to start making some swings to the upside. And then BitTensor Tau, look at where this bounced. Look, broke out to the upside, came back and tested perfectly. A little bit of a washout below, but held this trend line, this descending trend line. Look at that. I mean, beautiful. Now, descending, broadening wedge, wouldn't you say? See that? Descending, broadening wedge, setting up for higher price action. It's right now, much like many of the altcoins, right back into the zone of these lows, these lows, these lows, these lows. And then this rejection, these lows, this is right where it's at right now. It's on the precipice of its next move. Does it mean it's going to happen today? No, it could, but I would expect a little bit of struggle bus here. And then boom, we're watching this zone right here. And we'll draw a chart, a little square here. We're watching this zone right here. Once this is cleared, next target up, $500, and then onward and upward, homeward bound into that castle in the sky. That's what we're looking for. And then let's kind of wrap back out here with, we got to look at Solana, my bad. The descending, broadening wedge. We're seeing this across the board. Price action back where all these lows are, where this rejects, we're watching for these next moves to really get the candle moving in these markets. But Ethereum currently came down right into the target that we set, golden pocket. Currently, the price on Ethereum so far is only retraced back into all these lows, much like we're seeing on all the altcoins. If Ethereum is able to break free from this, then most of the altcoins you're seeing with the same structure, with the downward move, with the price action retracing back into these previous range lows, like on all these alts we just talked about. If this breaks out, then we're going to see the altcoin market break out as well. And look at the money flow. Money flow, very negative, came back up into this. We're right at the zero line, deciding what we want to do. And just like we saw on HBAR, just like we saw on some of the other coins, the RSI is coming right into a trend line here. So I am expecting that we will likely have a little bit of a hesitation here on the alt market. If this does reject, it's not the end of the world. Look for a small retrace and then the breakthrough. If the price action breaks through while the RSI is breaking through, then that's your confirmation signal, especially if the money flow is coming in positive. So watch these signals, the price action relative to previous lows, the RSI coming into a level and actually breaking through a trend line. And if money flow is either front running, signaling that money's coming in before the move, or as it's coming into the move, that supports that narrative of the price action going forward. But guys, we're feeling good. Baz Dragon said, I'm a serial lurker. We got Tootie Nunez, quarter crawler. Shout out to everybody here. Are you excited about what's coming in the rest of the summer? Are you scared? Are you just stacking and just letting the market do what it's going to do? I'm just got to say I'm honored, I'm happy, and I'm thankful for each and every single one of you that tunes in here. Whether you're in our Discord, that link is pinned in the top of the live chat there. It's also pinned in the top of the live chat on Rumble. Whether you just follow me on YouTube, whether you follow me on X, whether you found your way here from somewhere else, make sure there are still about 50% of the people that are watching. We've got 2,628 watching between the three platforms right now. Make sure, do me a favor, hit the like button or the thumbs up, whatever platform you're watching on. And also make sure you are hitting that subscribe button, whether you're following me on at Kelly Kellam on my Twitter, whether you're following me at Academy BitLab on the other X account, or here on BitLab Academy on YouTube or BitLab Academy on Rumble. Get involved. Make sure you are hitting all those things. Now, let me go back and look if we're doing the giveaway based on yesterday. I said yesterday, if we got 40 retweets, we would do a giveaway. Only got 9. So no giveaway today. We got another opportunity today. If you're tuned in now, we have 2,456 watching on X. Only 40 of you. Just hit that retweet, hit that like button. If you're watching on YouTube, come over here. You can do that as well. I'll post this in the live chat right now. Go show some love, get the word out there, get people involved. I'm still looking at this as the dominant plan for what I'm seeing in this market cycle. So strap in, even if we get a little bit of downside. Remember, the macro trend is up. I'm still looking for one of these targets to hit because we have entered this phase in the market where the world is racing to stack Bitcoin. The world is racing to integrate things like Chainlink and Solana. The world is racing to get things tokenized on chain through the Ethereum ecosystem and Ondo. And I mean, guys, the time is now. Up is going to be the dominant trend. Watch for dip opportunities so you can buy and stack more heavily. Do not get fudded out of this market on some small fear speculation, even on a 15 or 20% dip. Let's trade smart. Let's make sure that we can absolutely explode our opportunities into the future. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Drop something that you're grateful for in the chat right now. Make sure you're practicing gratitude throughout the day. I love you guys. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, ding the bell. I'll see you in the next one. We're going to head over to Blockchain Basement now. Adios, muchachos.